Hello everyone and welcome to the 2020 Silver Cup, presented by Rollin Ridge and Discmania. We're here at the Super Silver Layout in Manitowoc, Wisconsin. We've got Phill Delone, along with Thomas Earhart, Minnesota's own Cale Leiviska, and rounding out our card is 2020 Waco Annual Charity Open winner, Colten Montgomery. As I said, we've got round 3 action. This is the third and final round. Dustin giving you the bonus action on the Disc Golf Guy channel. We're going to take a look at hole number 1. There's really 2 routes to it. You can go with the sharp inside turnover route, or you can go a little bit straighter and then maybe play for a late fade off into the right. Well, stay clear of those trees right there. And then you move to a Mach X, slightly elevated basket. And we've got Phill on the tee. He's sitting at 15 under. As you see, Thomas and Cale at 14 and Colten at 13. This is the third card action. Phill gives it a thumbs up. Not sure he meant it. And this is Illinois' own Thomas Earhart. Yes, the smarter, better looking version than Brian Earhart, and Thomas paid me to say that. A little bit short, and Minnesota's own Cale Leiviska. And he plays the shorter, tight route, which you gotta love. And as I mentioned, Waco Annual Charity Open winner on the Disc Golf Pro Tour earlier in the year, just as COVID closed things down for our season. Colten Montgomery. Great route on that inside line. Sorry if that's trademarked, Mo from the Inside Line podcast. Phill struggling just a little bit. Speaking of struggling, I'm glad to be here for solo commentary. We're a little more than a week after the event. This is all bonus coverage, and thought I'd get you just a little extra action. Bringing to you guys. Tom's going to walk away with the birdie. No problems for Cale, as you would expect. Colten right there also looking at the birdie, and going to see a little bit of a swing for Phill, unfortunately, in the wrong direction, as we've got 3 birdies and the par for hole number 1, which came in as the 10th most difficult hole on the course during round number 3. It also came in as the 10th most difficult during round number 2. Here we are playing a little bit of a safari hole as we're going to move up. You saw the basket. That is where you'd typically play to, but instead we're playing to the next hole's basket. This is hole number 4. Now, a little spoiler alert. We saw 0 pars, or correction, we saw 0 birdies in round number 1. We saw 0 birdies in round number 2, but today, wow, Thomas, great shot. That would be a great shot for what is the original pin. And we're going to see what's going to happen today as Cale pushes up on that left side. Not sure which he was referring to, but he missed them all. So, I guess if you just throw that out there, it works for you. That was a great shot by Colten. And Phill also missing it.
That's what I just hit. I didn't know what I hit back there.
I love how Cale goes to motion for the forehand for a moment. Come on, Cale. We all know you're not throwing a forehand. And why would you when you can throw such beauty, such magnificent, wow.
You like tap-ins?
Unbelievable shot by Cale. If you don't want to listen to the man crush, just turn it off right now. May have visited my friends over at Founders before we got ready for this tonight. Great shot there by Tom Earhart. Phill also looking like a pretty simple approach there with the forehand. Colten, make us proud. Get that. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to spoil for you guys. Number 1 most difficult hole on the course relative to par. Exactly 0 birdies. 0 birdies in round 3. 0 birdies in round 2. And nobody wanted one in round 1 either. So the hole went birdieless on the weekend. So pars are good. 50% of the field taking pars and 50% of the field taking bogeys or worse. We're going to move over to hole number 5. 365 feet. We're going to go past the 2 shorter pins. It's going to veer off to the left and then fight back to the right. If you've got a magical forehand, maybe. Well, kick pushes him off to the left. I feel like Tom kind of creeps up on the tee pad, like he's trying to be subtle, a little bit sneaky, and certainly sneaky there by Cale. That's gonna put him on the dance floor. Do you think, speaking of dance floors, do you think Cale was a prom king? I feel like he should have been. Phill Delone. Asking for the left side kick, and he gets it. You hear the waves of Lake Michigan off in the distance.
What? How did they get through?
I don't know, Tom. Okay. These guys are finding some lines. Just fighting through, trying to get to the all the way up to the basket. Phil's got some work to do, trying to save his par.
Let's go, Phill.
Let's go is right. Phill just didn't want you guys to see him canning the long putt, but nice work there by Phill. He's going to walk away with a par. Cale, last guy with a birdie look. All right, there you go. Good putt there by Tom. This does come in as the 3rd most difficult hole on the course. So you have the 1st most difficult hole on the previous hole, and then the 3rd most difficult here. So just fighting through these, maybe with a par. Not so bad. 8% of the field finding birdies here. Not too many people. All right, beautiful putt by Colten, and we're going to move on to the signature lighthouse hole. Hole number 6, 450 feet. Normally would love to play all the way down that pathway. I don't recommend throwing your disc 75 feet up in the air to go over those trees, but we do have to take a quick look. Visual eclipse out here working the drone. Jeff Showers also did a little catch cam during round 2. He's done a ton of promotional work, and if you need your house photographed or droned, he's your guy. Let's see Tom sneak up on this. So sneaky. And it looked like those guys were doing an Irish jig down there. They somehow, seems like it got all the way to the green. In the previous round, we saw all 4 players hit one of the guardian trees. So far, 2 for 2 are clean here during this final round. Not a bad kick. All things considered, he did come in a little bit high, hits the tree, and then kicks him right into the center of the fairway. That could have turned out so much worse for Colten.
Let's go, baby.
I feel like Cale said that during his prom king days. Let's go, baby. To his friends, of course. Let's see if Colten can put himself on the green. That looks like a good shot. And those are the waves of Lake Michigan. Just a bit smaller than the Baltic Sea. And Phill just trying not to get it up in the air, and unfortunately it looks like he overcompensated a little bit. And this Cale will put it up next to the lighthouse. This, of course, the signature hole here on the course. Jim Van Landen, your tournament director, the Lighthouse Inn owner. Oh, no.
Great punt, Phill.
Thanks, man.
And that's some camaraderie and sportsmanship there. You hear Colten say, great putt, Phill. And Phill knew it was a good putt. It truly was. Unfortunately, it just did not stick for him. Yeah, solid putt by Colten. He's going to card the birdie on the backside of this hole. Is a little stairwell to walk up and retrieve your disc from. And Cale, with no debris on his mini, will pick it up and blow off anything that's there before he puts it in his pocket. Couple birdies and a par, and Tom for the tap. I don't know why you're looking at us, Tom. I mean, that was a that's like no net. I mean, that was that is heartbreaking though. Tom pushing it right through the chains. And the signature hole plays with 2 birdies, a par, and a bogey. And we're moving over to hole number 7, 330 feet. A little bit of a tunnel shot off the tee. It finishes up and to the right slightly. This is also the opportunity that the players had during round 2 to win either $5,000 or $10,000 with a hole-in-one. Also our Savage Apparel hole. Colten's Also off to the left, not quite as up and over the bushes and trees as what we saw from Cale. Dilone goes up the middle with a beautiful turn. Wow. Great shot by Phill. And just like we saw from the first two players, kind of straight with a little bit of a hyzer finish to it. Cale from outside the circle going to cash that one in here on hole number 7. You guys were probably just thinking, I wonder how difficult this hole is. I can tell you, it was the 15th most difficult. That's what my friends at udisclive.com tell me. Average 2.52, and 50% of the field took a birdie here. 49% of the field taking pars, and 2% of the field taking some form of bogey. I'm not going to call out those two, but one of them you saw in round number 1. So if you're playing the game of Clue, you can go back and see who. Yeah, you'll figure it out. All right, we move over to hole number 8, 503 feet, slightly uphill. And you really want to get past about that tree on that right side. Anywhere in this area, you're not getting it to here. But if you did, it would be an incredible drive. Maybe a roller could find its way all the way up there. This does pinch in on you a little bit. Oh, well, okay. So Cale stares that one down. Phill Delone pushing that left side. If he stayed just on the fringe, he might be all right. If he pushed all the way into the longer trees, or shul, as his Michigan brethren would say, then he's going to be in trouble. And Thomas finds the early bush. A little more height on that. Had that had the chance to finish, it would have been great for Colten. We'll see what kind of recovery he's got to make out of there. Now Thomas needed some more turn on that to try and push that into the left side gap. And now this is a very difficult shot, just because you have so little power when you're trying to throw across your body like that. Sometimes it might be more advantageous to put your left foot in, put your right foot in, do the hokey pokey, or just put your back to the hole, as we'd call patent pending. But clearly that wasn't the shot that was lining up for Colten in that case. But anytime you're throwing across your body, you just really have to think about how much power you're really going to be able to generate on the throw. Let's see if Phill can make some magic. That might find himself up there in putting range. And hopefully that'll be a good enough recovery shot that we will see him still walk away with a par. Left side corner pocket. Never a doubt for Thomas. Phill, who's played so well to find himself here on this third card. Excited to see him out there touring around. He plays a ton of courses. He's been grinding things out. Fortunately, it's high and left for him. Right in the middle in terms of difficulty. This comes in as the 9th most difficult hole on the course, averaging 3.95. We're going to go up and over a little bit here on hole number 9. Find that OB with the road along with the parking lot there on the left-hand side. Our big arms can get past that parking lot and that OB path that comes through there, playing to this temp basket. We saw a couple of eagles actually during round number 2. Spoiler alert if you're watching these in reverse order.
Come on, quick.
That's a great looking shot for Leiviska. Might be a little bit on that right side.
Oh.
It's in the short grass.
Tom, just looking for a little clarification as to being inbounds. Looks like he is.
Left. Ball.
Fortunately, Phil's going to find the out of bounds with that one. 524 feet. This has actually come in as one of the easier holes on the course. Well, I'll go ahead and correct myself because I'm not smart. It actually is the easiest hole on the course. It's a par 4, averaging 3.26. So 69% of the field finding themselves with a birdie or eagle. And Tom showing you why that's possible, or how that's possible. Meanwhile, Phil can save his par if he can get up and down here. So, let's see. Colton next to the pin. Looks like he's going to have a tap in. Cale. Oh, he knew it all the way. Great putt by Cale. He's going to card the eagle. We saw about 6 or 8 of them during the second round. And during the third round, there was about a dozen eagles here. So these guys really getting things dialed in. This is why you're finding it as the easiest hole on the course relative to par. Again, 69% of the field taking birdies or eagles. Just 7% of the field going above par. We move over to hole number 10, 362 feet. You want to get just inside that tree, possibly hit off the wood chips that you saw there for that short pin placement. If you're coming in with a righty backhand hyzer, and that might put you up on the dance floor here. And that was a good kick for Cale. That looked like he pulled it a little bit to the right, but then it kicked back out into the center of the fairway. I forgive you, Tom. just you just kind of hear these little tiny branches and trees getting nicked and hit and kicked on that right side. And maybe a little too much overcorrection there, because on the short left side, you're going to find a just shrubbery, bushes, and you're going to have an awkward angle. Things are going to be really weird if you're short and right. And Tom is going to find himself in a little bit of trouble still where he is. Now, Colten here is short, but at least he's got a clean, open look at the basket to try and get up and down. Tom's looked like it carried even farther than we expected. And so he still has at least a circle 2 putt to try and save his bogey. Dilone kneeling out into the right. Oh, just getting off the green. He'll have a look at. Still possibly saving his par, but he's going to have some obstruction there probably. Cale finds himself at one of the shorter pins. And that's a pretty good putt. Unfortunately, he had to work pretty hard for it, but this comes in as the 8th most difficult, averaging 2.99. Just, I'm quite shocked to see 27% of the field carding birdies there. That's pretty impressive to this longer pin. Cale's coming back at it. This is to save his par. Cale, of course, our host, just a few weekends prior at the Preserve. We watched Nico LaCastro take down a very impressive win over a very stout field. FPO side, we watched Paige Pierce also pick up another title, quite handedly, in fact. And Phill there tapping in for the bogey. Moving on, hole number 11, 495 feet. If you were to come out here and play casually, you'd likely play to that basket or maybe to the basket there with the white pin. But instead, for the Silver Creek Super Layout, we move all the way to this basket. It's a par 4. Mentioned earlier, you can play it off the road. Oh, okay. That's not how I mean when I'm talking about playing it off of the road. I'd really love to come in right where that shadow, right on the edge of the shadow if you are going to play it off the road. Oh, and that, yeah. If you're going to do it, that's exactly how you would draw it up. Great shot there by Colten. Thomas not quite wide enough. And then Phill finding one of the early trees, but it does manage to keep him in bounds. So he doesn't get the penalty stroke. Goes with the overhand to try and get up and over everything. We'll see what he's left with for a putt there. Cale with the extended exhale. It's going to put him right next to the pin.
Simmer.
And just deep at the pin. Now, I'm going to admit I'm a little surprised to see this come in at 3.59. I would expect, and that's a bid for eagle by Colten. This does come in as the 13th most difficult, and I'm just surprised we don't actually see this play even a little easier, as Phil's not able to convert on the birdie, but also shockingly, during round number 2 here, or correction, round 3, I think we're on the final round, wrapping this thing up, no eagles to speak of. 55% of the field below par. That includes Thomas with a solid putt there. So 55% below par, but no eagles during round number 3. Phil somehow not phased, and I give him a lot of credit. Things have not been going well for him this round. He's maybe just a bit off. Things, I don't think he's really had any good breaks, and he's certainly maintained his composure. So huge kudos and props to him for that. We come back, hole number 12. Pair of Mandos on this hole, also some Velcro trees. I think that's the official term, Velcrois maximus, along with a OB Creek on the left, and then a highway, might be Highway 32 on the right. And Cale would love for that to push to the right. That's not going to find the OB Creek on the left, but I'm not sure what kind of look at the basket he's going to have from there.
Every time. Beat it this time. Did I get? Sweet.
Yeah, that's a great shot by Colten. If you throw it anywhere on that right side of the tree or in that tree on the right, it's likely not penetrating, nor is it even coming down. I think I have a disc in there from 1998, actually. Yes, prior to the course going in 99 or 2000. Phill Delone.
Come on, baby. Oh, not enough.
Playing the flex. He says it's not enough. We'll see if it was a little bit of a fighter for him. Oh no, what's this? Cale? Cale with a forehand roller of sorts? Looking for that to turn over. Ah, rolls it around the pin. A little trickery by Leiviska. Without cheating too much, I gotta guess this comes in as one of the easier holes on the course. And sure enough, I look at my friends over at udisclive.com, 17th most difficult hole on the course. 63% of the field taking eagle or birdie. And there's a birdie by Phil. James Conrad and Hayden Schultz. Yes, the young nephew of the legend Barry Schultz. Hayden Schultz
Boys.
had taken the eagle along with James Conrad. And these guys just routine birdies all day. No big deal. Are they getting heckled? All right, move over to hole number 13, 344 feet. You want to make it just underneath these branches, and the extended pin finds you way back in here. If you get to at least the wood or the wood chips or that hard compacted earth or earthen area, earthen I think is the word. If you get there, you may get to skip the rest of the way to the pin.
lucky, no, definitely.
Not quite lucky enough, as he might say. Speaking of lucky, I'm going to watch Tom throw first, and then I'll segue over to lucky just to have the coverage. I want to thank Dustin Skropinski. This is like his 6th round ever filming disc golf. He was with me at the preserve. We went out here. Thanks to our Patreon supporters, we're able to watch any of this coverage. And I was actually out of town. I was out of state while Dustin was out capturing this footage. And just as an added bonus, I wanted to put it all together and present it to you guys for a little extra bonus action. So I consider us all fortunate. We've got a little extra disc golf to watch here. Well, a little extra disc golf, definitely to watch. Both Phill and Colten struggling to get off that left side non-fairway. You guys want to continue to see some bonus coverage from time to time? Maybe, well, coverage can come from anywhere and everywhere. And if you're a Patreon supporter, I really appreciate it. It's the only way we're able to bring you a little extra coverage. Phill trying to save his par. Yes, sir. 344 feet, 6th most difficult hole, averaging 3.16. And we see the bogey. I think Phil's possibly lining himself up for a bogey. Cale, he's going to walk away with a par. So only about a dozen or so players managed to find themselves with birdies on this hole. Hole number 14, playing down along this stretch. The short pin, I always thought used to be difficult enough, and now for the Super Silver layout, we find it all the way out here. There was a lone birdie by Matt Bell during round number 1. We saw that in the coverage. And in round 2, we watched Jordan Castro actually roll it all the way past the pin and then make the comeback putt to save his par. Cale finding the mouth there. That's a really good looking shot. That's just putting you in position to possibly get a birdie.
Let's go.
Oh my.
Good shot, buddy.
You just can't state it enough how impressive of a shot that is.
Yeah. Now chill right there.
Oh, Tom. Good shot, buddy.
Colten just about matching what we just saw from Earhart. Phill Delone. We have some work to do from this left side. You can probably hear the creak while he's over there. And there he is punching out yet again. Now Cale looking at a birdie putt. This being the fourth most difficult hole on the course. Can't help but laugh to hear him state I'm so bad at putting, which I would vehemently disagree with. But unfortunately, that time, not drawing any metal. And the tap-in by Earhart, his brother Brian also birdied this hole, the lefty. Just incredible. 11 birdies given up on hole number 14. And again, I think we saw one during round number 1. So pretty incredible. Some guys really got it dialed in for the final round. We move up to hole 15, playing to this middle position as we go just past the short pin. Move on to this berm a little higher up the hill, and then there's another one tucked up way up into the cove of trees back there. .353 plays at least 400, maybe 425 in outright, power that's required. And just to give you guys a little frame of reference, just beyond Colten off to that left side over there, or beyond him, is hole 18. So when we finish on the beautiful hole that kind of plays down the hillside, that's actually hole 18, is just beyond where you're seeing right now. I want to say this totally parallels 18, but it's somewhat similar. Great drive by Phill. See what Earhart has for us. The stutter step to birdie. Great putt by Thomas. Just 8% of our field able to take birdies here. You can see he's just outside the circle, so he's looking at about maybe 35 feet. Oh yeah, left side and in. Mach X says, I'll grab that and pull it in for the birdie. So pretty impressive. We say just 8% of the field taking birdies here. So that's 9 players, 2 of them featured here on our bonus coverage. And just like that, we're going to move over to hole number 16, a par 4, 518 feet. This is kind of the inside route. If you're throwing a roller, it may stand up and go too far. You could find yourself possibly in the road that brings you into the park. I feel like walking away with a birdie here means you threw at least 2 good shots. Wow, what a great ricochet off the tree. Or secondary ricochet. And no reaction from the spotter. That's usually a good sign, meaning he's safe. This does come in as the 11th most difficult hole on the course.
Make it. Made it. Made it?
And talking about making it, they were talking about it as to if Phill had made the Mando. So it looked like he possibly hit the Mando tree, and then the way he bounced back out, he had navigated it correctly. Cale, no surprise, a low line drive. Also a low line drive by Colten, but that one hits the tree, kicks out to the right. If he would have just landed where he was headed versus where he went, probably not that big of a deal here. I think Phil's definitely got a little work to do here. Kind of throwing to a blind area. OB behind the pin, downhill, turnover. Like there's just a lot of stuff going on here. And Colten gets this big skip flare, but that does stay safe. So you're seeing what would be the regular or the short pin that's just over Cale's left shoulder there. He's going to throw over the medium pin to get to the long pin. Yeah, that'll work. So Phill actually managed to go all the way deep of the basket and then makes the comeback putt. Solid putt. Dilone is good for the birdie. Colten also in for the birdie. Quick shout out, Michigan's own Kyle Klein, the lone eagle on this hole. So Kyle finding a way to get all the way down there. No surprise from the young superstar as Cale taps in. And we're going to move over to what are referred to as the Armory holes. 16A, 16B, forever known as the Armory holes. Very challenging par 3 as we look at 16A, 525 feet. OB on the left side. Anything in that long grass or beyond, which is actually the parallel fairway that we see on 16B. So we move just inside the pole. We move to this long pin position. I think some would consider this a little bit of a bonus birdie. This does come in as the second most difficult hole on the course. So if you're birdieing this, you're doing you're doing some work, either a huge drive or a very long putt. It's a good turn by Phill. Looks like maybe just a little too much turn actually. You would have loved for that to flatten out and continue to carry to the pin. That'll work just you're gonna have to trust me that'll work just fine for Cale. And speaking of trusting me, yeah, I like that. Put a comment. We've got some DGA action to give away. Tyler, DGA, Disc Golf Comedy, and the DGA family ready to support little of the bonus coverage here. So put a comment of any kind. Maybe it'd be kind. I think that's what Ed Hedrick would want. Leave maybe a kind comment of any kind, whether it's regarding the coverage, the course, a player, a shot. I don't care. Leave something nice in the comments that'll make you eligible to possibly win something from our friends over at DGA. Cale's got all the moves. Oh. He was right. It was just a tad too high. maybe you guys could tell me. I haven't asked you yet. What's your favorite hole out here on this course? This is your third and final round. We've got 16B, 17, and 18 to choose from. But I'd like to know maybe what's your favorite hole out here on this course. I've had the luxury. I played this tournament for 15 straight years from the inception of the tournament. And when it joined the Disc Golf Pro Tour back in 2016, that was the first year that I'd ever missed it. So it's undergone some great changes. It's grown throughout the years. Now there's 36 holes on the property. We're playing just 18 of them for the Super Silver layout. So let me know what you guys think is your favorite hole on the course. Again, we got some DGA action to give away as we're moving on. Hole 16B, 324 feet. OB on that left side, also on that high right side where the Armory parking lot is. And that OB on that left side can come in, I think, relatively quickly. A little bit more wind than what we saw from the previous day. That skips up and finishes. That should be a good looking shot there for Thomas. Dilone, a little bit right, but safe.
I got that.
He's got it.
Just wanted to throw it to the left.
He's got it. What do I know? Colton seems to be second guessing himself. Cale finds himself just off the top of the pin, currently leading the card right now. Really putting together a pretty solid round here for his third and final round. And Phil says, shut up. Quit talking about pretty boy Cale. I'm taking a birdie. All right, Phil. You are. I like it. Meanwhile, Cale cleaning things up on aisle 16. I'm just going to put this a little bit in perspective for you guys. As we're watching another great birdie putt. Might be pushing about a week after the tournament. Did a little bit of editing. Had a whole bunch of work to do over these last few days. And it may or may not be 4:30 in the morning as I'm pushing out some commentary for you guys. Again, all part of the bonus action. And 3 birdies. And Cale stood up at the prom. Who would have guessed? Hole 17, 426 feet. Got to keep it inside that left side Mando. Making sure you're not throwing out and over the road, finding yourself in the OB. This is the long pin placement. Jeff from Visual Eclipse getting up and over on the action. And huge shout out to Dustin. Man, this guy's like a pro cameraman. Already thinking to stay on this side of the road to try and get as much of the swing, as I like to call it. Oh, he's swinging on Phil here. Hit a car. Just hit a car for fun. Just kidding. Don't do that. All right. If you're wondering, like, hey, Terry, why are we listening to you just babble on and on? Well, guys, that's how we get it done. It's bonus coverage. Sometimes you just got to get it done. And that's why I'm here alone talking with all my friends is Cale's gonna put a little bit of a air bounce to it. Tom finds himself at the medium pin. And just really playing it smart. During round 2, we saw Barella get aggressive, put a really good move on it, but unfortunately after hitting off the top of the basket, Barella went OB long.
Dang, Phill.
And Cale giving props where props is due, as this is the 5th most difficult hole. You got that Mando, the OB long right, OB long and right, I should say. Just 7% of the field finding the birdies here. The likes of Wysocki, Hammes, Roethlisberger, Bart, Trey, and Tommy. And meanwhile, Phil's like, yeah, I'm just camped out underneath the pin. Just incredible shot. Yeah, that's how you do it, Phill. Love to see it, buddy. I'm going to move over to the 54th hole. Yeah, and if you're not heading over to dgpt.com/shop, I don't know what you're doing with your life. So we move on to, as I said, the 54th hole of the tournament. A par 5, hole 18, final hole. Onto this beautiful green. There's that river that runs through it. We talked about it earlier. Almost a peninsula look to this final hole. You want to play out to whatever that white sign is right there, or that person standing there, the spotter. Thank you to all the spotters and supporters. You'd love to throw right to where that spotter is. That would be almost the ideal landing zone here on this hole. Yeah, and that will work just fine. I'd rather push out and to the left than be tight and to the right. I feel like there's a 90s rap song that I may have just borrowed the lyrics from, but yeah, you definitely would rather be to the left. I think it just gives you a better angle. The more right you are, the harder your anhyzer will have to be on your second shot. So I love the play there by Cale. This does come in as the 12th most difficult hole. Big shot that's pushing out to the right. He's going to still stay in bounds, but this is the 12th most difficult. And saw some eagles throughout the week. I'm going to spoil them all. Coming up short, a little bit longer, and he might have found that water. And Phill has just put himself in just an absolute prime location right here. Dilone turns it over. He stays in bounds. There is a parking lot off and to that right side, but he stays in bounds. See if that's getting enough turn. That's pushing toward the river. And we saw it bounce up, and unfortunately it does find the water. And also finds the water. Solid run. We're going to start to close things out. We're watching Cale trying to give that one a run. I've said it 100 other times, but thank you to Dustin for the bonus footage. Thank you to the Pro Tour, GM Van Lanen, all of the staff, the crew, the presenting sponsors, Rollin Ridge, Discmania, everyone that had anything to do with this tournament just to make it happen, and most importantly, my Patreon subscribers and Dustin for the capture, along with DGA for helping support in multiple ways. As Phill closes things out with a birdie. Love seeing you here, Phill. I think we're going to see more of you here on these top cards as tournaments finish out. And Cale pushes himself to 24 under par. And he's going to be the highest finisher here of this group. That's going to move him into a tie for 7th. So congratulations to him. Congratulations to your winner, Ricky Wysocki. Thank you, Jeff, as well. Appreciate it, guys. Love you all. Thanks for the bonus action. We'll see you next time.
Love getting outside and challenging yourself to become better? How about spending time with family and friends, or just marveling at the pure joy of flight? Then you've come to the right place at the right time. Join the PDGA.